I hit go live. Here we go. Live counter's on, everybody. Oh, El Jefe's right in here. That's right. What is up, everybody? Hope you're doing well. It is the Daily Hi-Fi Podcast. We've got myself, Techno Dad, in the house. We've got Ron from New Record Day, Joe from Joe and Tell, Michael the Youth Man, and Phil from Sound United. What's up, fellas?
How you guys doing?
Hello. I'm doing good, man. Doing good.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's our little intro.
Intro music.
So we're trying something different today. Let's see if it actually works.
Yeah.
We'll see here.
Yeah, I saw the notifications on all three of your channels.
Oh, I see it on Ron's channel. There are 11 people watching.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell them what we're trying to do?
Okay, so what we're trying to do is do a multi-stream. So I'm hosting, but both New Record Day and Joe and Tell have live videos of the same stream on their channel. So hopefully this will alleviate anyone who's like let's say if Michael was hosting and people on my channel don't get the alert. So they're like, oh, well, how do we do this? Well, this is a way we can do this. So we're trying it out.
Until we get our 1,000 subscribers. That's what we're striving for. So if you guys will go ahead and like and subscribe, man, that would be awesome over
NRD
on the
in the house.
Five.
And it looks like I'm getting the chat in StreamYard from
mine
on stream.
Yeah, that works well for me.
Live comments. Cool. All right. So I think it's just aggregating it.
Yeah, everything.
All
everything
the chats
looks
on the
okay.
different channels are all coming on
So
to
they're
here.
all
And you'll be able
coming
to
to
see
one.
all.
Okay.
Optimus Vader. Yeah, that's coming in. Yeah, this is really
Sweet.
cool.
How do you
Very
guys like
cool.
my background, by the way?
Nice. Is that a green screen?
Looks like my
no,
background.
it's actually just a projector.
Can you just move out of the way a little bit, Joe? I can't.
That's
There's
smart.
something from behind you that I can't quite make out.
That is
Some idiot behind you. Oh,
that is a
look at me. Don't
good
look at me.
idea.
You like that?
oh man. That's
Yeah, I'm
funny.
just testing out this Vava projector, like pretty much everybody in the YouTube space is doing, and I'm trying out with their what is this? The Vivid Storm screen. So I have
Okay,
it set up over here. I figure I'll use it as a background.
Oh, you got the little short throw. I got the Hisense laser TV at the house right now.
For the 100?
And yeah, they sent me I that's my other little thing that I do is on the weekends I review projectors.
Really awesome, man.
really?
So yeah,
Oh,
so
that's
I got a bunch of toys.
Learn
So,
something new every day.
so I get this for one job, and then
Nice.
and then they send me projectors for to try out. So
Super cool.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
yeah,
You're,
I got a
you're staying
15.
busy, huh?
Yeah, I got a 15,000 lumen Panasonic professional laser in the house right now.
Nice.
Yeah, you talk about using a
Oh.
projector during the day. That is
Yo, that's the one
insane.
we saw at CES, right?
Yeah,
15,000
the-
lumen.
Man.
15,000 lumens.
What?
Yeah,
Which one is it? By who?
it's a Panasonic MZ16K.
That's
It's
the one, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
is that the one they
it's,
had 4 of?
That's insane.
it's got
I've
it's pretty nuts. But hey, I mean if you're gonna watch
I mean,
TV on a 120-inch screen, 15,000 lumens means you don't have to turn lights off.
I think
So-
that'll do it.
15,000. I saw that they had 4 of them set up at CES.
Yeah,
It's nuts.
and it was just huge. I just edited that part of the video still. I still
Oh,
have
really?
a CES video that's not. Oh, look, there's Michael. Joe's just swapping
I
background.
gotta find something
know.
good. Hold on.
I know.
Find something
I
while you
noticed
guys are talking.
I'm surprised he doesn't have like a penthouse apartment back behind him or something.
Yeah, that's what I need to do. Mansion tour.
A mansion. Let me
Dope back there.
MTV Cribs back there.
That's right.
Yeah,
Joe Cribs.
Toluca
Joe
Lake.
Cribs.
I'll just let that play on. Let's see what happens. There we go.
Nice.
Add this.
So what's going on? What's new? Who's in the chat too? We got all kinds of people
We
in the
got
chat.
Jeremy
Oh, it's-
Mitchell, Optimus
yeah.
Vader, Brian. How in the hell do you do acoustic panels? We got questions already.
Nice.
Nice.
We got El Jefe in the house. Chris.
PJ, the stereo bargain file. Jeremy Mitchell. Let's see here.
So it looks
Nicholas
like
Olson from LTA is in here. That's really cool.
So looking
that's
at just the live version of your channel, Chana, not all of those chats are going to come through, I don't believe. So
Yeah.
we'll need
and
to
then
make sure that we restate those or at least put them up on the screen.
Oh, okay. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah, and like
from all
my chat people are not showing up on Joe's and
Right.
Ron's and vice versa. All right.
Exactly. Yep. So just some things to think about as we're kind of carrying on the conversation so that everybody kind of feels like they're in the loop, and even whether you're on Shauna's channel, Joe's channel, Ron's channel. So cool, man. And we got special guests tonight.
That's
Yeah,
right.
don't ignore the man.
Talk a little
He's the
tech.
man.
I have toys. I have toys.
Everybody's
Okay.
like, who's Philip?
I have toys, lots of toys. People keep sending me stuff so we could talk
Nice.
about. That is a 20 meter, 48 gigahertz HDMI cable. So
I don't go by
laser
meters. How does that? What is that?
60 feet. So if
60
you're
feet.
trying to do an 8K 120 on a television set, that's the cable you'd have.
That'll
to
work.
Wow. Wow.
Got it.
What does that run?
This cable's like $500. There's a company called AV Pro Store that makes these guys. So you can see how long it is. They have to put it on a spool.
Wow.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So this
Now,
is
is that a fiber optic cable?
Yeah, this is the active fiber optic cable, because I just did a session a couple of days ago on HDMI 2.1.
Okay.
Like, can I use my old receiver? How do I hook up that new game system and an 8K TV to my old sound system? What do I need? What don't I need? So because of that, we have some partners from the different cable companies and video testing companies that have given me tools to play with. So when we talk about it, we can go through and show examples.
Gotcha. Cool.
That's what we're gonna be talking about today, right?
Yeah. If you got whatever you guys want to talk about.
Yeah.
Let's talk about HDMI 2.1. I know I get a lot of questions about it. I'm gonna wait for my receiver to have HDMI 2.1, and everybody wants all the features. Yeah. So what do you think?
Let's
Bill,
talk
about waiting for 2.1 to happen?
Let's talk about it. There's multiple parts to 2.1. The first thing is more bandwidth, and that more bandwidth gives you like 4K 120 or 8K 60, right? That requires more space. A lot of the other advantages are not bandwidth-based things. They're user advantages: variable refresh rate, auto low latency mode, eARC for playing back uncompressed audio from an internal streaming source. Those are requirements for 2.1, but it doesn't mean that a 2.0B device cannot do it. So for example, my 8805 here has auto low latency mode and eARC built into it already. So all I'm going to do is, when I get my PlayStation 8K game, I'm just going to plug it directly into my TV and then feed it back to the receiver in eARC. So unless you have multiple devices that are 8K 120, it doesn't require switching. And if you're not going to, and another thing that's coming right now are game systems. You're not going to put it in a rack 70 feet away. You're going to want it right next to your TV. So the fact that you have to plug that game system into your TV, as long as your receiver, your TV has eARC in it, you're fine. You're good to go. So there is no big rush. There's not a big rush to make content right now. I came from another side of the business before I got into the audio side, and if you look at it, right now, there's how many 4K broadcast channels are there? Crickets. Exactly. So they don't. So a cable company doesn't want to give up 4 HD channels to give you one 4K. You think they're going to give up 16 channels to give you an 8K channel?
Makes sense.
Probably not. The studios are not may capture in it, but they don't edit in it or grade in it because there's no 8K theater. So why would I spend a bunch of money to double the cost of production for a movie for something I can't play?
Sure.
So there's not a lot of content coming. There's no disc player coming. So most likely the only thing you're going to get is either, if you're a gamer and you're looking for that auto latency mode and 120 hertz gaming, the gaming people. So if you're a gamer and you have multiple game systems, like more than 2, maybe you would be and then right now there isn't more than 2. You'd be something to think about. But for the rest of the world, long as your system is built properly, you have the right cables, you have the right AVR. Your AVR you buy this year, you'll probably keep for a while until maybe you have a flying car and they do launch an 8K Blu-ray disc. So there is no real reason to wait. I mean, there are some convenience features. So if you're going to buy one next year, you might as well buy the one that has everything on it for that peace of mind type thing. But a lot of the stuff that we're talking about for next year goes beyond just 8K. So 8K, so 2.1 is important, but don't worry about it as, oh my God, I can't buy a TV right now. Same thing with cables. Your cables will work too most of the time.
Right. I mean, a lot of people ask me about AVRs because that's like the main thing. As far as TVs are concerned, so far as I know, LG's got HDMI 2.1. I think we're still waiting on more TVs to be released this year to have HDMI 2.1. But I know LG was the one starting it off last year where all their models had 2.1. So, but again, you bring up a great point. I mean, if we look at any kind of 4K Blu-ray disc, it is a BD-XL or a 100 gigabyte disc. So it's already got like what, 3 or 4 layers on it.
Yeah, it's not enough. The compression isn't. There's not enough compression on that disc, unless you want to be like the laser disc where you flip it over like every 5 minutes, to watch an 8K movie. You're going to require another physical media platform for that to work.
Right. So they have to literally come out with the new disc, and then there's going to be new players and all that. So
so most likely it's going to be like a Samsung or an LG or a Sony sponsoring 8K content through a streaming service, or somebody like a Netflix or an Amazon or Disney Plus who's trying to raise their viewership and offer something that you can't get from broadcast to do it. That's why if you look at Netflix, Amazon, the streaming services are the ones that are giving you 4K and Dolby Vision and HDR, because they're trying to have a value add above watching it on free ABC.
You know what does have 8K content though? Supports it? YouTube, baby.
Yes, YouTube does.
Yeah,
and that's one
crazy,
of the things,
right?
Yeah, YouTube. Like I said, that's one thing that's nice about YouTube. All you maniacs try to figure out ways to come up with new material and new stuff. And so there is a place to get it. But guess what? That's built into the TV. So if they record the sound, you just got to get the sound back to the AVR. So you have to have eARC. And
so let me ask you this, Phil, because somebody actually brought this up. So my AV receiver has eARC. But how can I test that? Do I have to take, like, if I go from a 4K player with an Atmos stream to the TV and then ARC over to the receiver? That seems like a roundabout way of doing it.
Exactly. So there's 2 types of ARC, audio return channel. The standard ARC, which will do Atmos and DTSX and all that type of stuff. And then eARC, which does an uncompressed version, which is closer to a Blu-ray. So the way you would try it is basically plug your Blu-ray player directly into your TV and see what lights light up on your display. Or there's devices coming. So this is a this is a new test pattern generator. It's called a 7G. So you'll start seeing calibrators have these. These replace the ones they use to calibrate. And this guy actually has eARC testing capabilities.
Nice.
So the big problem that you're going to notice with eARC is most HD-based T-Balance do not support eARC. So if you have that one that HDMI on one side and Cat 5, Cat 6 converted back to HDMI, many of those devices do not support ARC, let alone eARC. So that's why things like laser optical, or you have to, as you're buying these new extenders, make sure that's the next question. Can you support at least 18 so I get 4K HDR? And can you support eARC so I can get my audio back from my fancy TV back to my receiver? Because if you don't have it, you're not going to get any sound.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at some of the comments. I don't know. Do you see the chat there, Phil?
Yes, I can.
There are all kinds of people asking all kinds of stuff. Adam Brown thing. It's Simple Logic 4.9's copper. I think he's asking about the $50 cable does its job. And I can't say that for HDMI. Like, I have a 30-foot cable that I use for my projector setup, and my old one didn't do the trick. When I switched to 4K content, it just wouldn't work. I had to switch to an optical one actually.
Yeah, as you add length, the longer it gets, the harder it is to pass the bandwidth. So, for example, if somebody has a long HDMI cable and they're having problems with, say, like an Apple TV, first thing I tell them to do is put it in match format, match frame rate, and turn the subsampling down from 444 or 422 back down to 420.
Less
You
data.
can't see a difference, but the bandwidth that you have to drive down your cable goes from like 13 or 18 down to 8 or 9. So eventually what happens is the cable gets longer, it gets harder and harder. So the first thing is people get carried away and want to turn up all of the settings on their on their game system. It's almost like buying your wife a fancy diamond ring and sending it to her in a shipping container. It's not going to make it any shinier. It's not going to make it any prettier. You're just making the load harder.
Nice.
So, for example, you can get a good piece of copper that is high speed, 18 gig. It most likely will pass the 48 at shorter distances.
Adam Brown, we're explaining it right now. He's saying you can't explain it. He's explaining it right now as to why, because I think people get mixed up. You know, there's a whole thing about cables when it comes to audio, right? And I think this is a little different. You know, I'm not so much a cable guy when it comes to audio, but I do know that, you know, with long runs, so we're talking about a long run and a lot of data, right? That it just won't work. There's nothing wrong with the cable that I had before. It was fine when I was running 1080, right? Exactly. But it's just too much data trying to go through. Too much data. This is not a big wire, and that's a lot of stuff trying to go through that thing. Yeah. And it just wasn't able to do it until I had to actually use an optical HDMI cable.
Yes, because those are good for 100. Like the one I have is good for actually close to 100 megabits per second. So you're way past what we're talking about. So so optical or active HDMI. There's a couple of little tricks you can get. There's a company by the name of Metra. They make what's called an HDMI accelerator. You can take a piece of copper and accelerate it. So say it's at 8 or 9 and you need 13 for your HDR. There's this little thing that basically goes on the end of your HDMI cable and turns your passive copper into an active copper cable. And a lot of times it's fast enough to get the job done. The only problem is that little sucker is like $300. But if you look at being an installer trying to pull wire, back out of the wall, it's like, let's hit this, to buy that little guy exactly, and have the guy come back in and cut holes and have your wife kill you. So
now, does that go on
an amplifier or something?
Which side does that go on the cable?
It goes on. I want to say it goes. I can't remember, but I believe it goes on the source side, the side next. I mean, not source side, the display side. The display side powers these devices. That's why if you get certain active cables, if you connect them the wrong direction, they don't work. They're directional because the little amplifier is on the head that's plugged into the TV.
Yeah.
So you have to. That's why you'll see source and display on these cables to make sure that when you connect them, they get driven by signal.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that helps, Adam Brown. I know you mentioned that you're using a 6-foot cord, but keep in mind that, like in our cases, I think I have a projector. Phil, I know you have a projector. Michael, Chana, you're using a projector. Not anymore.
I use a 40-foot.
But so we need a really long cable. So a 6-foot cable wouldn't work.
Yeah.
But 1080 is relatively easy to pass. I'm actually using this Nyrius HDMI transmitter, and it's transmitting my HDMI from my laptop to this screen that I'm looking at here.
Oh yeah.
No problem, no latency either. So 1080 is easy.
Yeah, 1080 is easy. The best way to think of it is, think of a megapixel on a camera. A 2 megapixel file is tiny. A 50 megapixel file is huge. So all video is a whole bunch of photography being played really, really, really fast.
Like and then
and then if you're a photographer, if you turn 444 on, it's like shooting in RAW. So all you're doing is you have all this extra information that probably you aren't going to use.
Gotcha.
And all you're doing is making it harder for your system. So first thing I tell you is don't go into settings and games and crank everything up. All you're going to do is put a load on your system. And if you have a cable going from the player to your receiver, from the receiver to your TV, if one of those cables can't hack it, the whole thing goes down.
Yeah.
So it's better not to get too carried away and run the lowest amount of bandwidth you possibly can. Because what's on the disk is 10-bit 420. So you turning it up is not magically making it better. So just leave it alone. That's the thing we tell people all the time.
Let me go change my settings real quick.
Yeah, I know.
So hey, Ron, I know Ron's running a 1080p TV still. We got to upgrade you.
No, Phil,
No,
have
he's
I
got
ever
4K.
Phil, have we ever met in person? I don't know if I've ever met you.
You may have met me when I worked for a company that started with an S and then with a Y. But
With
if
on
not,
in the middle.
Okay. No,
or you may have seen me at one of the other jobs.
We saw him at I think
Sound United,
Rocky
Rocky Mountain
Mountain.
Audio Fest.
Okay.
In the Polk,
Okay.
because our companies are Polk, Definitive, Denon, Marantz,
Class
and
A.
Class A, and also
Okay.
Boston
HEOS.
Acoustic. So we have HEOS, HEOS is now becoming kind of a technology that's because it's in all of our stuff.
Mhm.
So you're starting to see HEOS enabled products
Right.
instead of just a HEOS lineup of products.
Cool.
No, I was going to say, it's great to have you on the show. I mean, normally when we dive deep into like HDMI and all this kind of crazy stuff that you just fleshed out, these guys are always asking me, and I'm just like, I'm sick and tired of explaining it over.
Well, you can call me.
Ron is the
I'm
guru on that.
BSing you. I know nothing about this stuff. So.
Yeah, because what happens is I get whenever something goes wrong, they blame the black box, and the more we can educate people that it's probably the little cord going between the two black boxes, not the black box, makes my life a little easier. So let me give you another tip for you guys that are out there. Say a cable for a regular passive piece of copper. It's probably good if you're up for 18 gigabits and those super high, like the maximum HDR, 4K, 60p, all that stuff. About, if you're lucky, 4 meters, 12 feet, 12 to 16 feet. That is total. So if you have a 12-foot cable going from your TV to your receiver and a 4-foot cable going from the player to your receiver, it's not a 12-foot cable. The receivers are not amplifiers. It's just basically like the little male female to female connector. So you're looking at so basically you're not looking at a 12-foot cable, you're looking at a 16-foot cable. That's why people call me and say, when I plug that 12-foot cable directly into the player, it works. But when I plug it through the receiver, it doesn't. But then I'm like, well, how long is the other cable? And they go, well, the other cable's like 3 meters. Well, okay, well, go get a female to female and connect them both together and see if it works. And if it doesn't, don't call me.
Well, we have a question from Randy McMinn. What is in the rack behind you, Philip?
In the rack behind me is actually, let me switch cameras if you guys want to see it.
Let's see that, Shauna.
I like how
he's got multicam. He said,
let's full screen this man.
All right.
Oh yeah! Don't show us stuff like this, Phil.
Look at all that booze.
Everybody sees the booze first and goes, "What is that?" Okay, so that is
on the show anymore.
That is a 8805 pre-pro, an Oppo Blu-ray player. I have a Luxel because I have some switch that for all the crap that's in there. I have a Roku and Apple TV. Domotes, IEG, smart remote management, a PlayStation, a media PC right there with about 1,000 movies on it. And then this runs all my zones for my HEOS. This is 4 of the 10 zones I have in my house. And then my Wilson Watt puppies are being driven by a Marantz PM10, large integrated. And then all the rest of the channels in my system are being driven by the 8077. So I have a 5.2.4 in the house right now.
Nice.
Wow.
And then the speakers are
the speakers. I want to.
Oh, is he about to? Oh no!
Look at that. Oh, what is that?
I gotta give you one.
If you don't know what that is, I'm not going to tell you. Don't worry about it.
Man, Polk is making some speakers that kind of look like Wilson's now.
Oh man,
they look just like Wilson Watt puppies. I don't know what's going on with that.
How cool! What a cool setup.
It's so funny. I was talking to some other Polk guys, some other Sound United guys today. We talk about all kinds of speakers.
Yeah.
Real audio guys.
Great. I mean, that's the whole thing about this. I get paid to play with fun stuff, So if I wasn't doing this for a living, I would be buying all this stuff anyway. So at least I just get a homie hookup because I work in the I work in the industry.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I'm as much of a fan of this. I'd be watching your stuff if I wasn't on this thing. So
that's awesome.
That's how I am.
Marantz with Wilson, somebody said.
Yep. That PM10 right there, that $8,000 Marantz integrated has no problems driving those.
Yeah,
I would hope.
Nice.
Man.
Oh man.
Oh, and the
Fun.
projector is a VW695 is my reference right now.
That okay. Got it. Got it.
I got a few toys,
You got
I see
toys.
that.
Awesome. That's awesome.
We're all about toys, man.
but I
What
have
kind-
to because someone says this doesn't work with this.
Sure.
It's research.
What
I
if-
gotta
how about
plug
the
this into
center?
that.
The center and the surrounds and the sub. Kind of curious about all
Center
that.
is a Wilson Watchdog. It's the matching center for the mains.
Okay.
The subs are two Supercube 8000s, one in the front, one behind the couch. The heights, I couldn't afford the Wilson rears, so I'm using like demands right now.
What do you
Demand
use
11.
for a center channel?
The Wilson Center, the Wilson
He said it's called a
Center.
watchdog.
A Watchdog Center, yeah. I had to watch subwoofer, but it was the size of a small refrigerator. My wife said she would divorce me if I tried to bring it in the house.
She didn't
So,
like that.
Oh man.
And then the heights are the definitive ultimate in walls, the UIWs. So I have 4 of those in the ceiling.
Wow.
So,
It's
and
actually-
the ceiling is vaulted, by the way. And because they're at a 45-degree angle, they're actually firing straight down. That's why
Works
I
good.
actually use those.
Got it.
It's actually kind of cool that you mentioned that you've kind of got some mixed, speaker brands in a home theater setup. And a lot of guys ask that, can I use different surrounds? Can I use different, in ceilings? And I've always told them yes, because our ears are faced forward.
Mhm.
And so the primary, your front, center, and,
Yes,
your left and right, let those stay matched, keep them in the same series of speakers if possible.
Yeah, exactly. Because dialogue are going to be in those front 3. Most of the music is going to be in the front 3. What you're getting out of the back is a rocket flying over your head, or
Exactly.
or someone says, "Oh my God, that school bus changed timbre as it went from the front to the back."
Nobody's saying
You'll
that.
never-
Nobody's
you'll
saying
never
that.
see that.
Exactly. It would be nice to have. It's always better to match everything.
Yep.
And the only reason why these are we make some speakers in our lineup that are actually quite impressive, but these are already here, so we might as well just keep them. So that's how that is.
Yeah.
So what do you think, Ron? I know you're a more 2-channel hi-fi guy.
Dude,
I think Phil has a good mix right there, right?
After the show, I'm going to go and hang out at Phil's house. We can remain 6 feet away, and I'm just going to enjoy his
We
rig.
can remain 6 feet
Yeah,
away.
I got a pair of the nice in my office. I got a pair of the little Legend L200s.
Yeah,
the little guys.
yeah.
Those are
Man.
You know what, Phil? When I went up to just a small event up at Polk Audio, I heard the L200s, and honestly, they were like, not that the big boys weren't impressive, but the little bookshelves were phenomenal.
Yeah,
they really were phenomenal. I was very impressed with them.
Yeah, because you really, a lot of times, it depends on what you're playing. I mean, the big ones have a lot more. They do have more bass. That's
Absolutely.
true. But the
dual
majority,
channel.
if you listen to rock or acoustic or jazz, the bookshelf is going to have enough bass for that. It's not going to rumble your seat or something like that, or tear the house down, but it has enough bass for that. And then also a smaller speaker does a better job imaging. So if you want that 3-dimensional sound stage with the voice in the middle, it's just easier to do it with a 2-way than it is to do it with a 3-way or anything else. It's just easier to get it to blend. So yeah, I mean, for a lot of people, we tell them start with a really good set of bookshelves because they can always go in the back of the room. Go throw them in the rears or use them in the office. So that's the best way. Add a subwoofer. So you start off with the 2-channel, buy a sub, buy a center, throw them in the back, buy
another
mains,
subwoofer,
and then work your way up. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think when people starting off, just fleshing out that front stage and getting a 3.1 is probably, it's definitely the easiest. You don't have to route wires around or anything like that.
Exactly. I go back and forth. I'm thinking if I had the money to start, I debate if I get a center or if I get the rears, because if I'm sitting in the money seat, the reason why a center channel exists is not everybody gets to sit in the middle. If you sit in the middle of a good set of speakers, the sound comes from the center.
Yeah, it does.
It's just that if you want to sit on the left side of the couch or the right side of the couch, that you want the vocals locked into the center is what you need it. So for me, sitting on the couch, and my wife doesn't really care that it's not coming directly from the center, I would probably buy a pair of rears and say that's daddy's seat. And you can't, tell my son just came up here. He's going to be mad because he can't play PlayStation on my TV right now.
Nice. Got a question down here in the bottom from, is it Rise Bartlett?
Rise
Have you
Bartlett.
found IMAX enhanced DTS worthwhile with movies like the new Jumanji?
The best way I can explain IMAX, and we've talked about it in the past, is options, choices. If like right now I can have an audio file and they'll fight over which version of Dark Side of the Moon was better, the original pressing or the one in 85 and the one in 95.
The original pressing is the correct answer.
You knew Ron to have an answer on that one.
The correct answer is the SACD.
Exactly. So what ends up happening is they do have a different tonal character. The bass a little stronger, the mix a little different, and it's really a preference. So, but you can hear a difference if I play the standard DTS:X versus the IMAX version. You could hear a difference in what it sounds like. Which one is right is the one that you like. And if you look at Marantz and Denon, we just say, okay, if it's on, we're going to try to give you support for everything: Auro 3D, IMAX Enhanced, DTS, Atmos, and then you can pick the one that you like, because we don't know whatever the right one is, the one that you like. So
that's awesome.
So that's the plan.
Can you give me some information about? I just saw something recently about Roon something.
Yes. So we just we are all of our most with our AVRs and our new HEOS, which are called Denon Home, our HEOS enabled wireless speakers, are Roon tested. So have you ever played with Roon before?
Ron's all about it. He keeps telling me that it's awesome.
It's awesome, because the best way to think is I have a couple of music these PCs back here with all this music on it, thousands and thousands of songs, but it's just a file name, a folder with a file name. Maybe you get a little clip art of the thing. I'm old, I'm gray, so I remember going out and buying a record and then opening it up, and then while the music is playing, reading the cover.
Absolutely.
Who was the drummer on this one, and reading all and saying all that stuff. That adds an emotional attachment to music that you just aren't going to get from just a file on a PC. So the nice thing about Roon is you get all of that information. Like I went down the rabbit hole. I was playing Janet Jackson. I said, oh, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. Started reading about them and went down that rabbit hole of all the stuff they produced. That's the first thing. The next thing, it takes all of your material. So all of my music is consolidated, using my PC as a core, and then it looks at my Qobuz and my title and puts that in there together. So if I'm starting off with, I don't know, Anthony Hamilton, I have 2 records and I really want to play the other one, I just jump into the other one. Doesn't care. I don't. The customer, you guys don't care where it came from.
Kind of like a middleman.
It's a middleman. It takes everything together, and also it comes up with like a little magazine about what. So based on what you're listening to, it builds you almost like your own little personal daily Rolling Stone magazine based on what you're listening to and what's in your collection. And the last thing that's cool about it is it has a lot of different Roon tested components from a variety of manufacturers. So you can have a Denon, and it'll integrate with a HEOS speaker, with a Sonos, and what happens, the customer, you just buy what you believe is the best sounding piece, and then let it do all the translation between the different devices. So it's a cool another option. Now it doesn't have as many services as our HEOS thing does, but my wife and my kids don't really care about that. I do. I want the original pressing of Pink Floyd, and it's only on the whatever. Then I'd have to maybe I go find it on that particular service. But the average person doesn't really care.
Have you messed with Plex at all?
Actually, that's what runs my server is Plex.
Okay, so I was saying, is it kind of like Plex? Where you have a video file that you got from who knows where, but it makes it look like as if it came from like Netflix. It's all organized. It has a Rotten Tomatoes score.
Oh yeah,
it makes everything look great.
Now it'll go through all of your collection. Hopefully your collection is mostly high res or at least CD quality, but it will go through and consolidate everything. And then in your library, it's not going to make your library sound better if you have a whole bunch of MP3s from your Napster days, but if you have a nice set of CDs in there, or you buy a lot of high res from Acoustic Sounds or things like that, it just catalogs it all together and then makes it easy for you to search. So
Amen,
Life of Bliss says he just went up a few points in his book. Nice collection. And he says nice equipment.
Yeah, thanks. Hey, man.
So to follow up, what's the difference between, I saw that it says tested and then there are other
like
things.
Roon
Did you-
endpoint.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Ready and
so
Roon
Roon
endpoint.
tested means that like our system runs basically communicates with the Roon system using AirPlay 2. So that gives you up to CD quality. Then there's another version, Roon. I can't remember.
Roon Ready.
Roon Ready.
Roon
And Roon Ready runs their iOS. It runs their system. And because of that, you get a little bit more audio quality. You get a little bit more capabilities. But so we're looking at doing some of that enabled stuff. But tested means that I can start something with my Roon and stop it with my HEOS, which is kind of neat. So or my Josh AI, or my Amazon. I don't want to say her name.
Yeah.
So just the goal is we want to whichever way you want to interact with your music, you should be able to do it.
Man, that's awesome. Technology is sweet, man.
I know. Look at this. They got 4. You got all you guys. This is all technology right here.
Yeah.
We got a bunch of people in the chat too, also asking all kinds of questions. So if you have any questions for Phil, he's just like a wealth of knowledge. Anytime we have questions, you just call up Phil. And
Yeah,
make it happen.
Whenever
you
you have his
guys-
cell number, you can put it at the bottom.
Yeah.
Whenever you guys send us
by
the-
the way, we're I gotta give myself a little shout out too. I have
Good.
we're starting a little rinky dink YouTube channel. It's called Sound
Awesome.
United Training. So I
Fantastic.
just did a 1 hour. I did a 1 hour thing on HDMI 2.1 about a couple of weeks ago.
Very
So
cool.
a week ago. So if you want to dive in, or things like how to connect to HEOS, or how to set up Audyssey, or we have what's called HDMI diagnostics built into our receivers. So we tell you guys to test the cables. You can literally take a cable, plug it into the 2 inputs on the receiver. Our receiver, hit a certain button code, and it will test the cables for you.
Oh wow.
So
That's
there's
crazy.
a lot of things, because like I said, people want to blame the cable. We tell them to plug it in the receiver, hit these 2 or 3 buttons, and it says your cable's crap. So don't call us.
Awesome.
So that kind of stuff. So it's called. So if you just do search for Sound United training,
I'm actually going to post the link in the chat right now.
Yeah.
So Phil,
yeah.
I'm looking at these little screenshots, dude. It looks like you're flexing there, man, in that thumbnail.
Who's flexing?
Phil is, man.
Can you
I
show
know.
it on the screen?
Oh yeah. Let me bring it up.
That's hilarious.
It's like guns a-blazing there, man.
There it
There
is.
you go, boy.
Yeah. So there's some other ones that we talked about. Like
Awesome.
that was some sessions at CES at CEDIA where we talked about using third-party voice control like Josh AI or Google or Amazon, along with the control system actually that was Josh AI and the Universal Remote Control. But we talk about all the other brands. The gentleman in the red is Metra. So that we talked about cables and HDMI distribution. So if you want to use these fancy cables and distribute it, that was about. The other one was with the gentleman with the crazy shirt. He's from AudioQuest. We were talking about a direct jacket. Hi-fi. Why is hi-fi coming back? Why do people want vinyl? What makes vinyl so cool? And then the last one was if you're going to do one of these multi-zone, like I have like 10 zones of high-res music in my house, how do you make it reliable? You know, what type, how do you make sure your neighbor's not stepping on your Wi-Fi and things like that?
So
And then we're going to be
awesome.
so
the
we'll be
reality
adding
is-
a lot more stuff to this, but we just got started. So I'm a little player with my 34 subscribers.
awesome.
but yeah, we're trying to add some
Great,
stuff
man.
in there. And if
I
you guys have
literally
any
just
ideas,
subscribed.
So everybody go head over there right now, subscribe to him. If you want to dive deep, man, I
Hook
mean,
a
you can
brother
tell
up.
Phil is a wealth of knowledge. Been in the industry how long?
oh, wow. 25, maybe 26 years. Started off in car stereo,
Yeah.
then then started selling, and then worked for Yamaha, worked for Sony, and now Sound United. So
Did you hear
So
the way he
you just,
said?
I think you just found a new friend in Ron, because he calls it Yamaha too.
Yeah, he did. I heard
Yamaha.
that too. Yamaha.
Yamaha, yeah.
I
Yeah,
noticed it immediately.
Somebody commented
Say it.
online, said, "I like the way you say Yarmaha." I'm like,
Yarma.
Phil and I say it right. I don't know what to tell you.
Oh, good.
oh yeah.
Oh.
So that's pretty cool what you're doing over there. It kind of looks like an online trade show. Wink, wink.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh
You know, so you're ready over there. So we're gonna have to talk after this.
Yeah.
You
Absolutely.
should mud wrestle with Gene. No.
What?
Mud wrestling? That
want-
sounds a
Oh,
little sketchy.
Sleazy Pig.
No.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Okay.
You guys are
Oh,
you got some characters on your feed
Oh,
here.
we
which
do.
is
yeah,
pretty
no,
cool.
they're.
Oh yeah.
I think
all
the
in
thing
here.
is, Phil, we just love to have fun. I mean,
Yes,
literally,
we do.
you know, we like to dive deep. We like to talk about technology, but at the end of the
Yeah.
day, we want to make hi-fi fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Bad to the Bone was asking. He has a Helios 7. Is the new 350 better? Yes, it is. More drivers, more amplifiers. It's I mean, the goal is we got to continue to evolve, and a new cosmetic. So the goal is each year we try to add additional things to make it worthwhile. The nice thing is you can keep your 7, and you could buy a 350 or 150 or all this stuff you can mix and match and get something great out of it.
Nice.
I saw that. So I saw that fly by. So
Yeah,
Well,
yeah. Here,
welcome
this
to
is,
answer any of the questions.
this question from Life of Bliss is a good one. Philip, do you see more companies moving towards Class D amplification instead of Class AB or ABH with the progression in that technology?
It's funny, like in our lineup, we have a variety of stuff. Like for example, our Class A stuff uses for the big mono blocks, the first, I want to say 35 watts of that amplifier is Class A before it switches to Class AB. The big
That's a
Marantz
lot.
that I'm using right
Yeah.
here, the PM10, is actually a Class D amplifier. So it all depends on your engineering and your design. I like this amp for being in a rack because it runs icy cool.
Mhm.
The preamp runs warmer than that amplifier after
Wow.
I've been beating on it all day. So I kind of like that. So it all depends on how much room you have to put an amplifier, where you're going to put an amplifier, what are you trying to drive the amplifier with, and like I said, the best sounding is still going to be a Class A amplifier, period. But they're heavy, they make a lot of heat, and they run up your power bill. So everybody's trying to find those other solutions to give you great performance. Remember, Class A also makes Class D integrated, and they sound spectacular. So there is no right or wrong amplification topography. It's just how much time you take to actually get it right.
You said period.
Period.
Class A. Are we talking about Class A or Class A?
Class A.
Class A.
So
Oh,
Class
well,
A
yes,
makes a Class A amplifier and a Class D amplifier.
and 35 watts in Class A. That's a lot, right?
Oh yeah, it's frightening.
that
Like
is
one of the
fun.
demos that we do is we tell people when they go into a store and try it, they have the meters on them,
Mhm.
and we tell them to turn the volume up until the meter straight up and down, and
Okay.
it feels like there's an earthquake in the room, and that's 3 watts.
Yeah.
You're not buying a wattifier, you're buying an amplifier, right? It's amperage that moves the speaker back and forth, not wattage. And amperage is what makes something heavy. So the old walk up to it and lift it, that was
Right.
the reason why. It's those big Toronto power supplies and all the cooling and stuff to keep that thing from heating up from all the amperage that you're utilizing. So yeah, 35 watts is a lot. A lot of times people see these amplifiers and they get caught up on the big numbers.
Sure.
It's not about the number, it's about the quality of the watts, not the amount. So that's why when you look at some receivers, they're $500, and the same wattage can cost you $4,000. There's a reason for that, and so I always tell people to remember that.
What else you want to get into today? I know you have a few things that
Let me think.
we got into 2.1.
Mhm.
We talked
about 2.1. A few more things about 2.1. Like I said, people want to know how do the cables work. So let's talk about the difference between a 2.1 cable and a 2.0B cable. It's the same freaking thing. That's what I can explain it to you. If you look at an HDMI cable, there's actually like 19 little wires inside that cable. There's basically 4 channels they can use to send the signal. Right now, they only use 3 of them.
Okay.
And each one, they feed 6. So 6 plus 6 plus 6 equals what? 18.
18.
Which is what they're using right now. The 4th channel is used for timing, just timing and sync. What they decided to do is take that 4th channel and use it. So now you have 6, 6, 6 is what? 24. And then someone said, well, maybe if I push it a little harder, and I can get maybe 12 down the line instead of 6 down the line. Now, and that's where that comes from. So the reason why you people go, how come you can't upgrade my receiver? You can upgrade, you can add eARC, but you can't go from 2.0B to 2.1. The hardware is different.
Right.
It's because how it's using the cable you bought is different.
Gotcha.
Okay, it's backwards compatible, to look at only 3 of them when it's doing something that's a 2.0B device,
No.
or 4 of them, or 4 lines when it's using a 2.1. So it's a hardware thing that prevents you from doing a firmware update to get to 2.1. But things like the features, auto low latency mode, variable refresh rate, eARC, that is just goes down the other 16 or 17 wires on the line, so it's easy enough to add that type of thing. So that's a big thing. So you don't fear that you're gonna have to throw away every single cable. There's a good chance if you have some good ones and they're shorter, you may not have to, but they won't be certified because they won't be tested. But if they work,
yep,
If they work, they work.
I had a guy asked me today. He was asking about longer HDMI cables. Does that sound kind of degrade? And I said no. It basically, if it makes it, it makes it. If it doesn't, it doesn't, and you'll know.
Yeah, you get a signal,
exactly.
or you don't.
That's
Sometimes
right.
you'll get sparklies and stuff like that. That's more like the little video amplifiers and like the amp sometimes acting up. You get little sparklies, but most of the time you either get a signal or you don't get a signal. So just make so the multiple types of cables. You can have your copper. Those are good for shorter lengths. Then you can do what's called active copper, little amplifier to kind of accelerate it. Then you go to optical or active optical, which is what I think Joe has and I have. That's the one I showed you, the big guy right here. This is a it's called a company called Bullet Train. They use it's a clear line fiber cable, 48 gigabits per second. And I know because I tested it with this big old machine down here. And like I said, anybody that needs, this is 60 feet of cable. That's crazy.
That's a little bit.
I don't need that much.
You can run it to your neighbor's house so they could enjoy your setup.
My next door neighbor wants to watch,
That's right.
my Apple TV. I can run over to his house and run a commune or something like that.
That's right.
Hey, I remember. I think maybe the first time we met was I think you guys were doing demo of the L800s.
Yes.
Yeah, over there. What was that? Was that Ron? Was that at where was that?
Rocky Mountain.
Rocky Mountain. I think y'all were.
Yeah,
up there.
Rocky.
Oh,
Yeah.
we couldn't stop talking about it. We couldn't stop talking.
know.
It sounded great in that room.
Yeah. Well, the way I would that's one of the things that I would love to have in this room. If anybody doesn't know how SDA works, basically when I'm playing a pair of speakers, the left speaker, some sound from some of the left speaker drifts over to your right ear, and sound from the right speaker blends over to your other ear. And that kind of muddies the effect, your sound stage. The human ear uses left and right signals to localize. So when you start going way to the left or way to the right, eventually both ears can localize where that speaker is, and the sound stage kind of stops at the speakers. So if you want a wider sound stage, people keep putting their speakers wider and wider and wider apart. The way that SDA works is it's got 2 rows of speakers. One row on the right speaker plays the signal for your right ear. The other row plays a cancellation signal for your left ear. We're not adding anything to the signal. We're actually taking stuff away. We're removing something you should not hear. So people think that we're adding signal to adding stuff. No, we're taking stuff away. It's basically noise canceling for each ear. And because of that, because you're just getting better stereo, you get a bigger effect. So we're not adding, when people think we're adding something to the signal, we're not. We're removing it. So if you could do the same thing by get a big piece of foam, acoustic foam, and run it from the middle of your speakers to the middle of your nose, and you'll get the same effect. And so unless you want to build a wall right down the middle of your room, this is
not as fun.
Not as fun.
No, it would be a pain.
So
I had a chance to sit down with Stu, and he shared with me that technology, and I was pretty new to SDA and just had a great interview with him, and just a super guy. So is he still involved a little bit with Polk?
That was his brainchild. He still is kind of he's on his sailboat, but he's still, he can't let it go. He was with the company for like 40 years.
Long time.
A long time. And that was like his swan song. They said, okay, build something you want.
Build the ultimate speaker.
Yeah. So we start off with the little bookshelf. He's like, okay, we're gonna make new drivers. Him and that whole team, Matt Lyons and those guys. They said we're gonna make a new speaker, new tweeter, new woofers using all the technologies we've learned. And then someone said, what else can we do? And he said, well, we've figured out how to make SDA better. Let's utilize that. So it's a if you haven't heard one, if there's a store near you, should go check it
Pretty
out
incredible.
because even if pick something you've heard a million times, a Pink Floyd track, a Beatles track, I don't care.
Something
We were doing
preferably with a lot of
visual
cool
and
panning.
people were tripping how stuff was going all around there,
Yeah.
all around them because it's just the ultimate in stereo is what it is.
It's like the room had headphones on.
Exactly.
And I could hear like exactly where everything is panned left and right. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
the
think
other
to
thing
me-
too is the home theater. It's crazy.
To me,
Oh, but-
the weirdest thing in 2-channel was that as you're listening, I could turn my head
Mhm.
literally about that far and nothing changed in the sound stage. It was the weirdest thing. And you can turn your head this way and that center image is just right there. It was the weirdest
your ears
thing.
can't localize. Your ears can't localize it. And
So
as a home
wild.
theater experience, it's crazy because you think about it. You keep adding. People want that 9 channels so they can have the width speakers because you're trying to throw it outside outside of the
Make it
surround
wider,
sound.
sure.
Yeah. So this is doing that already. So it'll beat you add this to a 7.1 system. The experiences we actually have that in the that was the amplifier that I fell down the stairs carrying. Was the one out of that theater. But we run that theater like one of my favorite demos in there is. Have you guys heard the new Kraftwerk 3D, the Atmos Blu-ray? It's probably the baddest. It's
Kraftwerks 3D.
Yeah, it's called Kraftwerk 3D, and what it is an Atmos Blu-ray disc, and it's a live concert of them doing all of this old original techno. If you're a techno person, these guys started the whole thing, and it's these crazy old German guys, and it's probably one of the best sounding Atmos demonstrations out there. But when you add the SDA to it, and there's just the room just disappears. It's the wildest thing you've ever heard in your entire life.
So any chance you got the hookup for us? that disc? You gotta have some connections, Phil. Come on now.
We'll tell you, I can't get that disc, but I will tell you, we can maybe come up with some things for some of your subscribers that maybe we can give you guys some other discs, like maybe some DTS discs, something like that.
Everybody always.
I can't promise you too much because Wilkie, my Paul, our PR guy, may kill me. But reach out to me. Maybe we can do a little thing for you guys.
Maybe they gotta follow your new YouTube channel. How about that? Follow that new YouTube channel. You know how to do it.
Like 50 something already.
Maybe if we do that,
we've already doubled your subscribers as of right now.
I know.
Can I say something real quick? Was that room at Rocky Mountain just especially good? Because I heard it again at CES, and it was still impressive, but it wasn't on that level. Like that level at Rocky Mountain was just ridiculous.
Well,
I don't know.
They had more room to breathe at Rocky Mountain because it was just a 2-channel soundstage and a bigger suite. Yeah. You're trying to shove that many people in such a small space in one of those hotels.
It was smaller, yeah.
Yeah, because we had what was in that room? It was a 7.1.6.
Wow.
With 4 subs, 4 subs in there, and it was probably it was nuts. Funny story about that. We never said this. Like after the first day of the show, we were all happy the show was over. So everybody leaves, and we're just in the hotel, and we're just relaxing. Maybe having a beer, playing the system. So like, I'll play some music. So they start off with some Pink Floyd, and then a little later it got into some hip hop, and then the boss was like, "I want to hear Killing in the Name of by Rage Against the Machine." So we're playing it, and everybody's like, "Yeah!" And they were like, "What would happen? What would happen if I had 5-channel stereo, so we could turn everything on?" And we hit the button, and the lights went out. Wow! Because we had 4 M8077s in there, and 4 subs, and that power out. Those power outlets did not likey. So we're like in the dark saying, uh-oh.
How'd you get the power back on?
It's a secret.
Flip the breaker, dude.
You had to call him like, something happened in our room. I don't know.
I don't know what happened. I was just
wrestling.
I was just using a hairdryer and it popped. I don't know what's going on.
The lights are still out right now. They haven't been able to figure it out.
Yes.
Dang, man. That Kraftwerk DVD is like, you can only find it used. They're new on eBay.
They're hard to get. They collide. It's on There is a non-Atmos version of it available, I believe, on Netflix. I'm not sure, maybe Netflix. No, I have to look. You have to
Oh.
look it up. The other one that's really good is the Hans Zimmer Live at
Yeah.
Prague.
Hans Zimmer, yeah.
That's a very, very good one as well.
Yeah.
But if you can find that Kraftwerk, it is a great demo disc.
Crap.
That one, yep, that one right there.
$54. This is a box set of the CD, 160. Whoa.
Yeah, it's an amazing disc. Amazing disc.
Oh,
I was lucky enough to get one for $24, and I guess now they're hard to get a hold of. So
yeah. I saw them perform at Coachella.
That name before.
That's awesome.
Kraftwerk. I've heard that name before somewhere, but I don't know where.
Kraftwerk, yeah, that's old German techno.
Yeah, so a lot of the hip hop that you've heard, a lot of the breakdance music you've heard, a lot of the techno you've heard, that's where it came from. So like Planet Rock, the hip hop song was actually
Planet Rock.
Yeah, that's Trans Europe Express by them. He just basically took the song and sped it up. That's all he did. So so if you're into like techno or original stuff, you'll be shocked at how advanced the music sounds, and it was done in like 75 and 78. It's pretty amazing.
Looking through a playlist to see, because that just is like standing out big time. Like somebody had told me about it and I added it to a playlist or something. So
yeah, look at that, Kevin. The original industrial synthesizer band. You had to actually build those synthesizers back then. I mean, it looked like the old switchboard operator to get their stuff to work.
Yeah, it was all modular at the time.
Somebody actually brought up dynamic range and music mixing. I wish they did, but a lot of times people would make that stuff, and someone would jump in their car stereo and punt a woofer across the room, and that would just be the end of it.
I mean, like with the amount of like compression that's being used, and it's turned into a loudness war for like each track.
Exactly.
And it sucks because like having the dynamic range is what makes it cool to have an awesome sound system, because you get the lows and you get the super highs.
Yep. And impact. I mean, I love it too, but a lot of people Americans like a lot of bass and they like a lot of volume. So a lot of times they just put it that way the entire time. It is great to see some artists don't really care about it and start to use more dynamic range in their materials. Starting to see people that are starting to do it. It's up to the artist.
Yeah, you know what's funny? This one guy I met at NAMM, he does a lot of mixing for J-pop and K-pop. And he's saying it's really weird over there. They don't want any lows. Like it's literally for your phone. Like he's like, yeah. It's you barely hear anything. He's like, I cut it off at like at 100 hertz, and that's it. That's exactly what they want. I'm like,
really?
That's so weird.
I know.
Hey, it's cheaper on the DJ. They don't have to bring those big subs.
Yeah. Well, that's what kills me is a lot of like my son's sitting here looking at his iPad, and a lot of these guys, these youngsters, they grew up with just the iPhone or a pair of inexpensive headphones in there plugged into their tablets and stuff. So they really have not heard a big system. It's funny. A couple of months ago, they had went and watched a horror movie over at one of their friends' houses on his little TV, and Brightburn, and they're like, "Oh, it wasn't that scary." And I was like, "Yeah, because you're looking at a little TV with no sound." I said, "Okay, everybody sit down and we'll play some movies in the theater here, in my room here." And watching little kids jump cracked me up, because they aren't used to that. Because my daughter would say, "Oh, it's not that scary. I saw Jaws, or I saw
Conjuring or something."
It wasn't but then you ask them and they watch like
I watched
3 minutes of this and 2 minutes of that, and I'm like, no, sit down, watch the whole thing with the lights off, and then we can have a conversation.
We had adults over at my house, and we were watching 1917 and the scene where they hit that tripwire. That was some crazy, because I've got 4 18s. It was insane, man. Insane.
You got the JTRs.
Oh my gosh. JTR calculators.
I saw the JTR stuff on your channel. The other one that's really good, if you want that, have the Heartbreak Ridge. Oh my God.
Heartbreak Ridge.
There's a scene where they climb, like it's the first battle, and they're climbing this ridge, like this tall ridge, and then they go into like this ravine, and it's just dead bodies everywhere, and it's just silence. until it's not.
It's like, "Phew."
And
That'll mess you up,
it's a
man.
stunning
Yeah.
Dolby Atmos demonstration.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things, talk about dynamics. You got to be careful the first time you play it, because you're turning it up to hear the person talk. And all of a sudden it's just absolute madness. But if you're looking for a good subwoofer demo, dynamics demo, anybody that doesn't jump the first time they saw that is a zombie. So
you want to hear something funny? After we talked at CES, remember we did that little we made that video. Did you watch that video?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
I liked it. It was good.
Yeah. I ended up checking out that Phil Collins from Miami Vice that you were talking about.
Yeah.
When they're driving through the night.
Yeah.
It is badass. If you had on a good system, it's different, right?
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
a different vibe when you're listening, and it has, like, you know, everything comes alive, right? So anyway, I just want to let you know that I did. I checked that out.
I got him doing 80s Miami Vice flashbacks.
Yeah.
Oh, mercy.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm ready. If anybody wants to, if you guys want to take any calls, I'm sure
Let's
people
do it.
want to ask questions too. You have
If you
that
guys
number?
have questions for Phil, we'll put that up under the screen. 818-237-3030. Phil is ready to take it on, man.
And Phil, I got to thank you again. At CEDIA, Phil was like, "Hey, so did you go downstairs and check out Wisdom Audio?" I'm like, "No, what's that?" He's like, "Oh, it's like $1 million home theater." I was like, "Oh, let's go check it out." So he went and stood in line with me too, and it was nuts. That was the I told you guys about it, the 13.6.8 setup. It's ridiculous.
3 or 4 semis of equipment. It was crazy.
Yeah.
You know what? I mean, this is a great place. I mean, there's a lot of great equipment out there. And this is a fun gig. I mean, I could be the Phil Jones, the mattress tech guy, and be completely bored to death, you know?
That's right.
Hey, mattresses are no joke.
A lot of
Serious business.
Well, this is a orthopedic with like 5 springs per inch or whatever.
All right. So you are on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Warren. I'm calling from St. Louis.
Hey,
What's
Warren,
up?
Warren? Have you, man? What's your question?
Hey, pretty good. Okay, I got a 4400H, and I had all 3D set up in a 5.1.4. So I went ahead and invested in some surround back speakers, and in the 7.1.4, but the back speakers don't play in all 3D. They only play in Dolby Atmos and DTS.
Yeah. Auro 3D doesn't use surround back unless you're into, what is it, Phil, 13 or 14 channels?
Yeah, you got 13 or 14 channels. That's the hard part. Is like if you look at the big guy behind me, you have to reconfigure its speaker configuration to switch from an Atmos thing to an Auro 3D with the Auro 3D with the voice of God. So there is. I'm not exactly sure. There is a combination that will work on all 3. I mean, the Atmos, DTSX, and Auro 3D, but it may not be surround back. It may be surround. I'd have to look at it. I'm going to give you my email address. This is going to get me. It's philip.jones@soundunited.com. So Philip with 1 L.
All right.
.jones @soundunited. And I have a feeling I'm gonna get 1 million emails about, dude, what about this and what about that? But hey, but let me know what your situation is, and I bet you I can see if I can find the right speaker configuration for you.
That's good service.
Okay, I appreciate that.
No problem. Take care.
All right, thanks. Have a good. Appreciate it, guys.
Thanks for calling.
No problem. Thanks for calling.
So yeah, we do a lot of tech support here too.
That's exactly right.
You guys look like tech support.
Thank you. Dude, my family all the time.
Like tech support.
We're here to help.
That's hilarious. We can
Yes,
start
this
on
is tech support. How can I help you? Straight from Mumbai. You know.
Hey, there's another business idea, Joe. Just a hi-fi tech support.
Hey, you want to do that? Let's start it up. What should we call
Hi-fi
it?
tech support. Yeah.
Hi-fi tech support.
Yeah. Hey, any of you guys have any smart remote management in your house, like any IEG or Domos or anything like that? Because you should look into that, man.
I said you're fancy.
Well, the thing is, it used to be. I mean, think about it. It used to be something that if you got an AMX or a Crestron system and it costs as much as a small house, you could do it. But now it's built into like a router. You can buy it built into a router, a little box, and it makes it really easy. Like when I'm traveling, if my if my son can't get the HDMI to switch from the projector to the TV, to be able to log in and do it and run like bandwidth tests and do all that type of stuff. So it used to be, it's going to be, and that's what's going to happen. People know what the future is going to be like when they call tech support. They just can ask permission. They're going to log into your receiver and say, "Oh, you got the wrong setting. Let me fix that for you."
Nice.
So, and that also applies to televisions or any of these other smart remote managed stuff. So hopefully in a few years, it's a lot easier to fix something if you can actually see how it's connected and look at the menu and make the adjustments right there. So surprised you guys don't have that. It's a cool toy.
I just say, Amazon, fix my whatever, and she's like, "What are you talking about?"
Excuse me.
It doesn't work yet, but
yeah,
we're hoping with the firmware update it'll happen.
I know.
What a I'm looking at the comments here. These comments are crazy. You guys are crazy over here. Oh man, look at this guy. They didn't like your Indian accent.
Did you see my comment right underneath?
That's my people.
I grew up listening to that sound. That's why I can do it so well.
Yeah. Back to the Brone brought up the 705s and the 707s that were replaced by the Legends are on like mad discount. That is a steal of the century. Even if I didn't work there, it's a steal of the century. So if you're looking for a good set of bookshelves or some floor standers at a ridiculous price, those are available at a lot of retailers right now.
And when they're gone, they're gone.
Heard those.
Basically, they're what the Legends were designed to replace. So the 707s are the large. They used to be like $4,000, $4,500 a pair. Large floor standers, tons of bass, tons of dynamics, and I think they're going for half price right now, or less than half. So if you can, so it's just the fact that it's like buying that 90s, that 2019 when the 2020 came out.
So I have to take advantage here and say, I know a lot of the trade shows are canceled, but were you guys going to show anything cool over there? Or,
we're always looking at showing new things. I can't tell you too much because I would be the former director of training of Sound United. But like I said, we are looking at more higher end models in order because things to make sure that we give the customers what they're looking for. So can't tell you when, can't tell you what, but we always offer cool stuff. So,
there's some good stuff coming, though, right?
Yeah, there's some good stuff coming. I mean, if you think about it, so we've always been, Sinai has always been, we were the first with the Atmos and DTSX and IMAX Enhanced. So we're pretty much always trying to be on the bleeding edge when it comes to technology. That's one of the benefits of being, like they say, well, why? You guys are like 5 companies. What's up with that? What's the bit? Why you do that? And I said, think of us like the Volkswagen Group. So if you think about Volkswagen Group, they own Volkswagen, Audi, Porsche, all these Ducati, motorcycle, all these different things.
Fiat.
Fiat. Not Fiat. That's Fiat owns Alfa Romeo. That's a different guy.
No, Seat. It's SEAT or whatever. SEAT.
Yes, Seat. Yeah. So what happens is there's a benefit to that. If you're buying if you buy a Bentley, it has the same navigation system as a Volkswagen. It's the same system. That does not make a Bentley, but you expect your luxury car, your Bentley, the Lamborghini, to have reliable navigation. That's just the way it is. Right. So, but a small car company that builds high-end specialty stuff cannot afford that type of engineering.
Yeah. Nice.
So what happens is you have the Denon and the Marantz of the world that do all that heavy lifting of the stuff that you just need to make an amplifier function. HDMI switching, different surround sound platforms, RS-232 IP control, discrete IR codes, stuff that you expect a better piece to do. Then you can let each of the smaller companies focus on the engineering that makes their product special. So now Class A can focus on amplifier topography, not worrying about how is the switching going to work.
And they can benefit each other's technology.
Exactly.
And their advancements.
Exactly.
Right.
So you end up with better products at all price points. And the one thing that you normally don't get, reliable hi-fi, reliable high-end. Normally, if you buy at the very top, it's neither doesn't have the latest technology or it's not the most reliable. And by having all these multiple brands together, we can provide you with like cutting edge technology, even at the higher end, which is something you normally don't see.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And of course, the big question is X8600H, X4600H. When do we know a release date?
Well, the 8600. Think about that. Well, the nice thing about it, if you buy an 8500, just buy it, because the one thing that we're going to do for the AV8805 Marantz and the X8500 is when 2.1 comes out, you'll be able to send that off to our service department, and for a fee, we will pull out the old video boards with 2.0B and plug in new 2.1 boards, and then take the receiver into the future. So you could basically buy once, cry once. You can buy it now, enjoy it right now, and then like I said, when you do get your multiple 2.1 sources and you want to do it, you just send it off to our service department, pay a little fee, and then we'll swap the boards out. They even change the little stickers on the back so it all matches and it looks all modern, and then ship it back to you. So for a fee, it ain't for free. Okay, but
any idea roughly what that would cost a consumer?
Well, what they're trying to do is they're trying to look at the cost difference between the one we're selling now and its replacement, and try to make the board swap pretty much. You don't feel like you got ripped off by doing the board swap. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So there is no official pricing, but it won't be so outrageous that you will be just pissed that you didn't just wait for the new one.
So don't be expecting like $200. You're going to ship this thing in there, and they're going to upgrade your receiver.
It's going to be not too crazy of a price.
Okay,
it'll be something that if you decide you want to do it, it'll be tempting enough to do it. It'll be manageable.
Cool. Good deal. That's good to know.
Awesome. Oh, there was one question earlier, and it was do you think that Denon and or Marantz will ever adopt DIRAC Live?
We are looking at, there's lots of good room equalization software.
How about this? Can I just say it this way? Would they ever update the Audyssey one? Because I know you guys have had that. So I'm going to add to that question.
Well, there's some things like we know that you could do to improve Audyssey. Or there's some advancements in different surround sound, room equalization. So they're looking at all those particular things. We're quite happy. Yes, some of the ones like DIRAC and some of those ones have some serious capabilities. But if you look at, whenever we do those types of things, there's a certain amount of engineering resources you have, and it's where do you allot it to get the biggest bang for the buck.
Sure.
So do we take the guy off of the HDMI 2.1 project and put him on the new equalization project, or do we take him off one of the new surround sound format projects that are coming down the pipeline and put them on that? So it's always things. How much of a difference will it make in the performance? Is that the best way to spend our engineering resources? So they continue to look at that all the time. And like I said, if it offers something that is way beyond what Audyssey can do, that's something that I'm sure we would always consider.
So a lot of the companies, several companies are now moving into that 16 channel, 32 channel. Do you think that's something that maybe Marantz or Denon is going to try to maybe reach that market, or is that just kind of like?
Oh, absolutely.
Very specialized.
Absolutely. If you think about it, we had with the exception of one of the big guys, Trenoff. We had one of, if you're looking for a 13 channel preamp or a 13 channel receiver,
Denon and Marantz with first one.
Denon and Marantz. So I can see moving into those other options. It's just that it's like Oprah. You get a speaker, you get a speaker, you get a speaker. How many speakers can you put in your house? You knuckleheads can probably put 32 zones in a house.
Chana, Michael, do you guys have any wish list items for Sound United Group? Like something that you wish that they would come out with?
For me, it's I want to experience DIRAC Live and have, how about this? Because I know Audio Control makes these, but they're expensive. I want DIRAC Live, some really good ESS Saber DACs, 8-channel ones, like 2 of them, maybe 16 channels, who knows, and Atmos, DTSX, IMAX Enhanced, and Auro 3D in one box. That's for under 3,000.
Always got to throw
There
that
it
in.
is.
I was gonna
There's the
say,
laughter.
Jeez.
you know, I
No
was gonna
problem.
say,
Both working on that right now. I
because
just sent it to
that pre-pro's got what 8 2-channels in it because they thought the 8 2-channels sounded better than the 2 8-channels. So so like I said, they we are. I will tell you that I can't. We are working on new pieces,
Nice.
and they will have. Yes, I mean, of course, you can expect any flagship piece to have 2.1, but even if I didn't show you that, you would still want to buy it. That's the
Nice.
best way. That's the best way I can explain it to you. So,
So it's
Get
gonna
'em,
be
the goal
guys,
is to
get 'em.
build you a
Come
great
on.
audio piece.
Come
Oh,
on.
and it also has 2.1. All right.
Mm.
So
That's your
stand by.
bonus. That's just the bonus.
That's
That's
just the
the
bonus.
icing on
Exactly.
the cake, baby.
Exactly.
The cake
Because
has got some meat stuff in it, man. You're
How
gonna.
about you,
Exactly.
Michael? Any wish list items?
I think
like-
one thing that's great is that with Polk, they've kind of made a decision to kind of step into that hi-fi
Mhm.
arena. With the new series, with the Legend series. So I think that was a great step for them
Mhm.
to be able to offer that to consumers.
yes.
As far as wish list, I don't know if I've got a particular.
And each brand is looking
Cool.
at new products and stuff. So if you look at Definitive, they launched the demands, and then you'll see some
there's
the
center channel
floor
there now.
and the floor standards and stuff.
Yep.
You'll see more and more products. We're trying to you'll see a lot more cool products coming down the pipeline in the next.
I know what Joe was wanting from Polk Audio. It was
What's
a
that?
subwoofer that costs more than $100. What is it? Or,
No.
or goes
I know.
down to like
Well,
that
actually,
goes down
the
to
bass
the teen.
the bass that you guys heard in that room at CES was 2 HTS 12s. That was what $500 subs, 4 of
Wow.
them, and
Wow.
and the bass was spectacular in that room. For considering I'm only using $2,000 for subs and 4 12s. But of course you also had the big
But it
big
makes the
legends
lights
in
go
there.
off.
We had legends in the front, legends in the back. So, but yeah, but it does a pretty good job. We always say I would love to have 418s, but I don't think they wouldn't fit in my my little space because I'm a bassaholic as well. But
Shut off
So I
my
gotta-
lights if I hook that up. So I know what Ron would want. I think Ron's still waiting on the L800s.
Just asking.
Are they
for a
there yet?
friend.
Are
I'm
they
asking
there
for a
yet?
friend.
Well, you want to do a review on a pair?
Yeah,
of
make
course.
sure they might be in the front. Check to see if they're out there, Ron.
did they
Amazon
deliver today?
just showed up, Ron.
They got fast shipping.
I heard that it cures the quarantine blues. So
Oh yes.
Yeah,
You
but
need
even
some
the
of those.
600. The 600 is a good piece too. I mean the ones right below the big STA towers, those are very, very good speakers too. We actually had a listing event for Marantz, where we had we had people jump on social media and talk about why they like Marantz or give me stories about the
I was there.
past.
I was there.
Yeah, you were there. Were you there?
Yeah, I was there. I
At
heard
Beverly
them there.
Hills?
Yeah, I was hanging out with Paul.
Oh yeah, because I took all the guys for a record shopping.
Yeah,
space.
yeah.
So what they did was they had them tell everybody jumped on and talked about what they liked, and we took like 4 guys, 4 guys, and we had them fly down to Beverly Hills, put them up in a nice hotel on Sunset, and we just hung out and played music for 2 days, and I took them on a record shopping spree at Amoeba Records, and they had like an hour to an hour and a half to buy records, and we came back and spun records all night, and
Nice.
and that was one of the speakers we used the new PM 7000 Marantz integrated with the floor standing L600s. It's pretty
sounded
impressive.
very good. They sounded very good. But
Mhm.
I think I want to see Ron review the L800s. I want to see SDA in action.
SDA.
I
You
got
gotta
the
get
room
the
for it.
SDA.
He
You know
says
what I
the
mean?
same thing, man.
I got the room for it.
Yeah, you do. I would love for you to review those. That's just my wish list thing. I think maybe like some of your 2-channel stuff. I would love to see the silver ones. I heard that you guys don't sell
Yeah.
any here.
Well, that's the thing that I would
silver.
love to have silver too, but it all depends on the market. Because if you go to Europe or Japan, it's pretty much that's what they buy is the champagne or the silver.
Right.
But it was funny. We went America went silver TVs and silver products
Right.
for like all the way through like 2000, and all of a sudden everybody decided to go back to black, and they haven't been able to bring them in. And people are concerned. You have this beautiful rack like this, and then they're worried that will the person buy if the silver's not going to work. So if you're going to go silver, You got to go all
come
silver.
on now.
Maybe 2-channel stuff. I feel like silver and 2-channel kind of go together.
Peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah, and the 2-channel is a lot less equipment. You'll probably have a turntable, maybe an integrated, maybe a disc player. So I can see a silver system, and it does look really, really pretty. If you ever seen it, go look at some of the Marantz and some of the Denon European or Japanese sites, and the stuff is amazing. And by the way, Denon has some products that are obscenely nice that they don't bring to the US. So,
I've seen him about that. I had asked him, I said, man, I said, how come Denon doesn't have? And he said, actually, we do. It's just not here. I'm like, oh, man. He's like,
and the reason why they can't bring it, because when I fell in love with it, I was like, oh my God, that's the most beautiful piece of Denon I've ever seen in my entire life. It's champagne. It's just insane.
Yeah.
But the problem, the power supply was built for 50.
Gotcha.
50 hertz. They're 100 volt 50, and they can't. The step up transformer to make it work in the US probably would cost more than the piece itself. So
they need
was not designed for
really.
us. So
I'm just looking at so look, we should sign up a petition here. So we have who's asking for Ron to do an L800 review. We got TJ.
We're gonna put the pressure on poor Phil. He's like,
no, we gotta do it.
I'd imagine Phil's got a little bit of connection with Sound United. I mean,
friends got to put.
Does he have the space?
Jerry
have like some little tiny apartment somewhere, and you're trying to shove like two monkey coffins in his house.
See, that's why I'm not asking for him. See, but Ron has a big living room, square.
He can actually even bring them out into the room. He
can bring them out. Yeah,
so Joe just wants to go over there and drink beer and play his system is what it was, right?
That guy was so happy when he heard those. He was just like, so I wanted to see that again, but on video so everybody can see. He
cried. He cried.
Yeah, it was hilarious. He's just like, he couldn't believe that.
And on the podcast afterward, man, it was nothing but L800s.
It was a lot of fun.
He's like, I heard the mids dancing with the highs.
Oh, here we go.
He loved it.
Is he one of those flowery ones,
Sleazy big ad.
The sound stage is blooming with the.
In addition to the silver, he wants analog displays, and I agree with that. What do you think, Ron? Analog displays on those things?
You know who's got all silver and analog displays is the all the new Technics stuff.
Yeah.
The new Technics,
beautiful.
Amplifier.
Yeah, I'm a meter guy too. I have been pushing. Please make us some stuff with some.
Get some meters going.
I love when the sound happens and it goes.
Yeah, it's great.
We need that.
That's when you're doing something, right?
On the opposite end, I think I would also wish for like a small, I don't know if you guys could do it, but like a small, very small Class D amplifier with HDMI ARC. Just 2-channel. I mean, you can do 3.1 if you want to get crazy with it. But a small one, like if they can fit all that technology into a sound bar, they can make a small.
Just
that's
a little guy.
Actually,
yeah.
That's actually not a bad idea.
Because with a sub out, right?
Yeah,
it can be done.
A little small guy. You run HDMI to it. You don't need any controls on it because the TV will turn it on and turn the volume up and down, and the sound goes to it.
If they can do it with a small sound bar, they can make a little nice box,
little small thing. Yeah.
Start off with 3.1 right now, and then you can make it 5-channel next time, and then the next time you can keep. I'll buy all of them.
Yeah, because that's the hardest part. We're always trying to find that transition between this and a sound bar, and so everybody's trying to crack that nut, try to find that sweet spot, and so far no one's been able to really get there. We had a piece called a Helios AVR,
not spend a fortune. Everybody's wondering how can I get that amazing sound, but only got a $500 budget.
Exactly. We try to get you as much as we possibly can, but the old get what you pay for. I actually did a review on projectors last week for a $300 projector you can get from Amazon versus an actual projector. And for about the difference in price was 300 versus 700, and the difference was absolutely shocking. So so the goal is to get you as much as humanly possible, but when you go from 500 to 1,000, a lot of times the difference is huge. Eventually you get to what's called that diminishing returns, where you're trying to the $10,000 to the $20,000 thing. That's when it starts being and the guy starts putting his speakers up on elevated on speakers, the wire stands, and then Exactly. So so eventually you get to the point where there's big differences. And right now, I mean, you can do a pretty nice little subsat receiver system for $1,000.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and that will destroy a soundbar.
Soundbar, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so
that I saw the NAD has a D3045. It's like a small class D, right? You've seen like the small NAD stuff, and it has HDMI. I'm like, yes, this is what people need, because like, you know, I just want more people to get into it, right?
Yeah, because Tech Assistant mentions we do have like these little Helios amplifiers and Helios things like that, but they don't have we haven't put an HDMI on it. One thing that we added to our lineup that we've learned because of Europeans and also Americans, the hardest thing is getting speakers to the back of the room. Yep. But a lot of times people want to start with something. We have a Denon AVR called the DIRAC 800. It's a 2-channel with HDMI and ARC on it, and it's just 2 channels. But it for a lot of times two bookshelves or 2 floor standing speakers with a 2-channel and it's a great sounding piece of hi-fi for $500. And then there's also a Marantz version called the NR 1200. It uses the thin chassis,
AVR,
thin line chassis, but same thing, 2-channel with ARC. And so basically, if you want to add it to a TV, you can go that route, and it does a really good job. And it has AM, FM, and all the other stuff too.
There you go. We got the idea. So what if you just remember I was saying you can keep upgrading that one small class D amp with the HDMI? What if you could just take your old one and then use that to power your rear speakers, and then they could talk to each other?
Yeah.
You see what, I don't know.
Look at you.
I got ideas.
Yeah. It is nice to make it scalable. That's one of the reasons why. I mean, we make great sound bars, but the problem with sound bars is they're just not scalable. Once you got it, if you want to move up, you got to put that in a different room and start from scratch. So anytime you can start with components, the better, because 2 speakers and a receiver, even if it's not surround, you can grow with that system a lot quicker than you can with a soundbar.
It's kind of like buying a laptop. You know, you kind of get what you bought. You know,
versus the desktop. Exactly.
Yep.
If anyone can do it, Sound United can do it.
Juan's asking what happened to the old Sony TV with the 2 vertical side speakers. I got one in the background. I got one above my fireplace right now, which is pretty funny. With the sub, it had a wireless sub that came with it.
Nice.
So,
just a dedicated soundbar. Looking at all the comments here, I missed the call.
Someone said Sleeves Pig said he disagrees that a satellite set. Someone hopefully he agrees with me.
It's just
we love you over here.
Yeah. Number one, if I had the choice, I would do 2 good bookshelves, 2-channel.
Yeah.
If I had to do poor man surround, satellites over a soundbar. You know why? Because there's physical speakers behind you.
Yeah.
You got a much wider sound stage. I can put one on this shelf and one on that shelf and a center channel instead of all of your sound coming from something that's only 3 feet wide. If you want a more spacious surround sound experience, a pair of satellites are going to beat a soundbar hands down. I mean, there are some good soundbars that have wireless rears in the back, but by the time you get the soundbar with wireless rears in the back, you're looking at a pair of 4 bookshelves and a subwoofer and a multi-channel amplifier. Yeah. So by the time you make that soundbar match that satellite system for you're already into almost $1,500, and now you can move up to bookshelves. So, and like I said, there are some really good soundbars, and you buy soundbar for convenience. You're not buying it for performance, because the component system will always beat it for the price. It's just the way it is.
There it is. Mic drop.
Mic drop.
Mic drop, ladies and gentlemen.
And I've been doing it for a while. I tried that all. Trust me.
Well, we got one last call. We'll take one last call, and then I think we're done for today. Let's see here. You are on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your question?
Hey, it's Chris Cahoot again from Ohio.
Hey Chris, what's up?
Chris, what's up?
How you guys doing? Just giving you guys a shout out, say hi.
Cool.
I had a question for Phil.
Mm-hmm.
Shoot.
I have a Marantz 7705.
Mm-hmm.
Any setup tricks for that? Like something that we wouldn't, a normal guy wouldn't know about?
What speakers are you running with it?
I have the Klipsch 8000 Fs for the front, the 504 center. I have an 11.2.4 system right now.
Okay. So, well, of course, I know these guys want their DIRAC, but make sure number one you run first thing I would do is, of course, you run your Audyssey. Number two, if you don't have the Audyssey app for your smartphone or you need to get that. It's $20.
$20, yeah.
The best way to explain that. You have that. So I utilize that. A lot of times what people do with that, by the way, is a lot of rooms, there's problems with bass, and mostly the bass is where the issue is. So with that app, a lot of times people will limit its equalization to below like 300 and below the best.
About to say 500. He was about to say 500.
5 to 3, but and then let your speaker. So that's one thing that I like about that particular application. If you I know that the default Audyssey puts a little bit of a dip in it, which actually kind of helps Klipsch. But if you want it to be a little bit more punchy in the highs, you can actually take that out. But a lot of times that app actually gives you a lot of flexibility, and that's the main thing.
All right, so try to utilize the app a little more.
Yeah, it works really well. Another thing too that you can do with the app is you can have 2 settings. Right. So like, for example, I can boot a setting from if I have my screen down and my curtains closed, that changes my acoustics. So I did an Audyssey that way. And then I have one with the curtains open and my flat panel going. Or even if my flat panel is not going, and I'm playing 2-channel, that big 75-inch TV is on the wall, and then my sliding door is closed. So you can do 2 different settings, and you can just boot from the app, depending on what you're playing. So you have optimized performance for both situations.
Now, Phil, when you say boot into that, are you talking about just saving those? Because I know you can
save it into the app.
Save a bunch of them.
Yeah, you can save a bunch of them. You can. Okay. Yeah, you can save a bunch. Like I have.
You're saying you could only do 2.
No, you could do multiples. I have windows open. I mean, screen up, curtains open.
Nice.
I have curtains closed, screen down. I have optimized for 1 seat.
Nice.
Me playing music, and then I have optimized home theater. So you can go in and make as many of these combinations as you want, and then quickly just open the app and load it. So it'll take a minute.
Yeah, I had to do that for reviewing different stuff because I'm always unhooking stuff and changing stuff. And then when I had to go back to my setup, it's like, dang, I got to redo that again. And now the app is sweet, guys. Definitely.
Yeah, it's $20.
Yeah,
it's $20.
Nice, actually.
And your computer and your phone is the receiver these processors have a lot of brains in them, but they're trying to do a million different things. Your phone is smarter than what sent the man to the moon. So by letting your phone, the receiver takes the calculations, the mic plugs into the receiver takes the calculations, sends it to your phone does all the mathematics, sends it back to the receiver. You'll get better performance that way.
You mean the results will actually be different than if I just run it straight?
It'll be better because it's better calculations.
Isn't that awesome?
I didn't know that.
Joe's mind just.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I thought it was going to be the same thing.
Tell if use the app.
Use the app.
Yeah, I got the app. I got it on my iPad, and I actually use the app to calibrate it all. So yeah, it works pretty good. I didn't really think about setting up different profiles though, so that would work out good.
Yeah. So I did. I don't know if you watch Audioholics, but they went through some stuff talking about the room correction and what you were saying, Phil, about how you limit it so it's just the bass and not the highs. And I tried that in my system, and it really made my speakers come alive.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
better that way than letting Audyssey run the entire frequency.
The best way to explain it to you guys is there was a company out a long time ago. I think they were called Mirage, and their whole thing was they were trying to build the perfect speaker. And what they did was they tried to come up with flat response. So they made a speaker that had perfectly flat response. People didn't like it. Okay. So what happens?
Surprise.
So what happens is problems with bass. You want bass to be pretty flat. I mean, you want it to be. It's kind of like the slope is like this, a little bit more bass at the top and a little bit low at the. That's kind of the curve people like. But you don't want a whole bunch of divots in your bass. So letting it EQ to bass is great. And then let the speaker be the speaker at the top. Now, if you have a room that's really harsh, that's really bright, then you may want to utilize it for the highs. But I would say try it both ways. A lot of times people just have problems. The main problems people have is just the bass, nodes in the room and peaks and dips. So a lot of times if they just use it for that, they're more than happy with it.
Hopefully that helps.
Well, I picked up a mini HD, DFC HD. And then I followed the Home Theater Gurus hour-and-a-half video, and I got my subs. Man, I got my subs working great. I got 2 SBS PB3000, and that really made a huge difference. And then this past weekend, I picked up 2 SBS PC 4000s off a guy who was selling 2 of them for $2,000. I couldn't pass up the deal.
You guys are You guys are bassaholics, man. Yeah. I got 2.
I was thinking about incorporating those in my room, but I'm not sure yet. So that'd be a lot of bass in my one living room. I got a pretty big room.
More subs equals more subs in different positions equals flatter, more smoother bass, man. So we tell people all the time it's better to buy 2 little subs than 1 big one because you're going to get better bass response. As long as you get quality, don't get it. Long as they're good little subs.
Oh yeah,
that's awesome. Well, hopefully that helps.
Yeah, that helps. I just great show, guys. I didn't catch it all of it because I had to go eat dinner, but
it'll be on
you guys.
Thank you for coming through. Thank you for calling.
Keep up all the good work.
All right, thank you for calling.
Yeah.
Good night.
Thank you, guys. It's been fun.
We'll talk to you later.
Good way to hang out.
Yeah. So before we go, we're gonna have to. We've been, what is this? 90 minutes about. Quick question before we go, Phil. Do you run mid-range compensation on Audyssey? Is it on or off? Do you turn that off?
In my house, it's off.
Off. Okay, that's all. That's all I have.
It's off. Actually, you know what? In my 2 channel, it's off. In my music with the curtains open, it's on. I mean, with the it just sounds better when it's smoother because I play movies loud, and then and it just works a little better for that. So it all depends on you. You just got to play with it. You play with it to find the right combination.
Your room and your environment and your setup and your ears.
Yeah, but 2 channel, I don't want. And when I'm playing music, let it be.
There it is. There it is. Shauna, you got to do the outro because you're the outro master. But Phil, stick around. I want to talk to you for a little bit after.
All right.
So just a little bit.
Cool, man.
Shauna, are you able to throw up there a link again to Phil's YouTube channel?
Yeah, Sound United Training.
So if you guys are coming in a little bit late,
I'm actually getting ready to post 3 videos with the head of Class A about the new Delta amp and Delta pre's. So we go in and talk about the construction and how they work in Class A, and it's coming from Dave Knobber, who's the head of Class A. So those should be ready in the next day or so, and it's seeing him talk, listening to him is pretty enlightening.
Awesome. So if you guys enjoyed hearing what Phil had to say tonight and his expertise, head over to YouTube, check it out, subscribe to him, show him some love.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm dropping it into the chat box now on all the channels. This stream. Boom. And Joe, let's hit that music, buddy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for hanging out. My name is Chana on behalf of Ron, Joe, Michael, and Phil. Thank you for hanging out with us on this daily hi-fi podcast. Remember, we do this every Monday, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Don't forget to visit the Daily Hi-Fi YouTube channel because we chop up each episode and upload little bite-sized portions for you guys. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Have a good night, guys.
Bye-bye.
Oh, I got to hit end broadcast.
That was